And the Grand Oak was the oldest and wisest of all the trees.
Let's chop this bitch down.
Until some mischievous adventurers came along and hacked at his thick roots. And all of the trees in the woods did mourn, until they too met the same fate. And then there was silence in the woods. But not at their home they built with all of that harvested wood. In that home there was much rejoicing and celebration, until one day a goblin army encroached from the east. There was much bloodshed that night, and that night stretched on to the next day, and that day to the next night, and that night again to the next day.
Should we level it?
But fear not, young traveler. Our adventurers did not meet their fates that day. They lived on, even if their companions in their home, like the faithful but useless guide, Brendan, who fell at the axe of a goblin, or the rather idiotic, sometimes annoying, but ever so voluptuous nurse.
Oh, the nurse.
Died
Okay.
to a goblin mage. But the mechanic, no, the mechanic, she was spared. She was saved. Our young hero Psyence carried her from the burning premises across the lands. And there they settled down, falling in inevitable love. They had many children. And oh, the snow it did fall. The snow it fell so beautifully from the sky, coating the land in a winter wonderland.
Are you done yet?
And everyone was happy. Until one day, after they had gathered more friends, more companions, so many new people, like the Goblin Tinkerer. Until that one day, when the Eye of Cthulhu rose from the depths of the earth, and again laid siege on their home. But fear not, for our faithful traveler, our adventurer, our hero, Psyence, was well equipped with his mighty shurikens. And when his shurikens did fell, his mighty boomerang led the way, and his family was saved. Some lives were taken, yes, like the new guide that came along. I think his name was Eric or John, I don't know. For certain. History does not tell. He fell to the wrath of Cthulhu. Somehow, the voluptuous yet idiotic nurse lived, to much the dismay of the beautiful mechanic, who was often jealous of the way she looked at our hero. But our hero, no, he was always faithful. Always belonging to only the mechanic. There were others. There was the wizard, the wise wizard from the west. His name was William. Wise wizard from the west named William. Yes, I know it's a tongue twister, but bear with me. This wise wizard apparently wasn't so wise after all, as he died within the first few seconds of the fight. Unfortunately for him, Cthulhu had chosen to rise right through the wizard's small, enclosing, imprisoning room of stone, which strangely had no door. For some reason, our history does not explain that. Ah, but there were others. The merchant, the old merchant, the old cranky bastard, as he was often called. He too died to the not literal hands of the Eye of Cthulhu. No, he was actually fed to Cthulhu's minions. Small spawn, small replicas of the Eye. Small might they be, but they were powerful. Powerful enough to fell the merchant in one fell swoop. And by one fell swoop, I mean he was closed in a room, and there were 12 of them. But we shall not forget our fallen comrades. I hear tales of a wonderful wall of memories, a memorial, with the names of all of these fallen heroes. Well, not so much heroes, but I'm trying to be polite. But after Cthulhu came, this time they did not run. They did not flee their homes. They stood. They fought. And the mechanic and their children and our hero prevailed to live into the next day. And they rebuilt everything that had fallen that night and that day. Oh, just that night, I hear Cthulhu actually flees during the day. But everything that had been destroyed in that night was rebuilt, and they carried on in their lives. And as time grew on, for some reason our hero, he did not age. The mechanic, she did not age. And we never actually saw the children.
Oh my god.
But the story goes, that they still live to this day, far away in a distant land, long past the stretching meadows, long past the corruption, even past the unseen desert. In another wonderful place of their own, our hero and his wife and their children, they live on happily somewhere in the hearts of all of you. So never forget our hero